How's it going, mates? My name is KP, and over the last 2 weeks we've been trying out the new Battle Royale, Super People. When I heard it could be the new PUBG killer, I was excited to check it out and see what the fuss was all about. So far, it's actually a lot of fun, and there are a lot of great mechanics the developers have managed to pull off and incorporate into the Battle Royale genre. So for today's video, I thought we could go over all of those mechanics, help new players get a handle of the game, and at the end, share my thoughts on it all. If you guys enjoy the video, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe so you don't miss out on future uploads. I also stream over at Twitch, so if you want to catch the action live, link for that is just down below. But with that all out of the way, let's get straight into the video. So what is Super People exactly? Well, Super People is a brand new Battle Royale game developed by a company called Wonder People. It's currently in closed beta and only available on PC. It's also free to play and available on Steam. Link down below if you'd like to check it out. Super People is set in a world where you can play as one of 12 super soldiers, each of which with their own set of traits and abilities. Just like any Battle Royale, players drop in, loot up, and fight it out until the last soldier is standing. Super People can be played in both third and first person and have solo, duo, and trios available. Currently duos is locked, and before we had 4-man squads instead of trios, so this could change around over time. But what makes this game so different are the mechanics they've implemented into the whole entire Battle Royale experience. So to get us started, let's jump into the main staple of the game, the Super Soldiers. Currently, there are 12 Super Soldiers available to play, with more coming soon by the looks of things. Each soldier has their own unique abilities, traits, specialist weapons, and playstyle. Now, although there are soldiers for players to choose from, players don't actually play as the soldiers themselves, like in Apex Legends. Instead, players also get character customization similar to PUBG. These characters then take on the traits of the Super People instead. When starting a game, you will be assigned a random soldier out of the 12. You will then have choice to stick, pay 100 coins to roll again, or pay 500 coins to choose one. Bear in mind you can't choose the same as your teammates and you can only roll once. Now before we jump into the abilities, I mentioned specialist weapons. Basically, soldiers are assigned a weapon based on the soldier's playstyle. Each soldier has a couple of options that are randomly selected each game. For example, Strike Force could have either the MP5, the Vector, or the Uzi. Or Nuclear could have either the AK, the Scar Heavy, or the G3. I'll also note, unlike the specialist, the weapon selections cannot be changed. Specialist weapons work better in the specialist hands, so the Kar 98 for example won't hit as hard if it's not your weapon. Now onto the juicy side, the main staple of this game and what makes the super soldiers so super, and that's abilities and traits. Each soldier has a total of 10 unique traits and abilities, including one ultimate. Traits can either be passive, such as headshot resistance or mag size increases, or they can be usable like Nuclear's RPG or Sniper's airstrike. Some traits may even change how weapons and equipment work, like Gas Soldier, whose smoke grenades turn into toxic gas grenades. So make sure you read up, because in games like this, knowledge is power. Each trait has 3 levels, each displayed at the bottom as bars. Leveling these up increases the trait stats, making it more effective. To acquire and level up traits, Wonder People have introduced a leveling system. Similar to MOBAs like Dota and League, players start every game at level 0. They then need to level up in order to gain traits and abilities. As soldiers level up, players are rewarded with trait levels, and once a player reaches level 10, they will unlock their ultimate ability. Players can then continue leveling until all traits are maxed out at level 27. Players can earn levels simply by surviving, but another way players can level is through capsules. Capsules are a ground loot item players can pick up and consume. There are 5 different colored capsules, 3 of which are coordinated to match the traits, and when consumed, give the player 1 level towards their corresponding trait. The other 2 capsules are white and gold. These capsules are rarer to find, but a white one will give you 2 levels towards a random trait, and a gold one will give you 3. Along with leveling up and acquiring traits, another way soldiers can get an extra little boost is with energy bars. Similar to capsules, energy bars are also another consumable players can loot, and also come in various colors. Currently, there are 3 types of energy bars. Speed bars, which are blue, give the soldier a 15% movement speed increase. Power bars, which are red, give the player a 15% damage increase. And defense bars, which are teal, not only give the soldier a 10% damage reduction, but also repairs damage to your armor. Players can only utilize one of these buffs at a time, and each energy bar lasts for 90 seconds and stackable up to 3 times for 270 seconds. Now moving on, as you may have heard me say, you can spend coins to reroll or select your specialist. This isn't some pay-to-win type feature, instead it's actually an in-game economy system. Similar to PUBG's BP, the devs have introduced a currency into the game that players can either loot off the ground in-game or receive through endgame rewards for placement, kills, and wins. But what can you spend them on? Well, aside from soldier swapping, one mechanic this game has introduced is personal supply crates. Personal supply crates are small cases of loot that spawn in sometime after the first zone comes in.
Personal supplies has arrived.
The crate will spawn in somewhere within the player's vicinity, and an alert and marker will pop up showing you where to go. These crates cost 100 coins initially to open and contain either a rare, heroic, or legendary specialist weapon, along with a small amount of loot such as ammo and materials for crafting, which I'll explain soon. Before the game starts, players can customize their crates and add various items to help aid them in battle. Items you can include are capsules, armor, meds, energy bars, and weapon attachments. Each one has its own set cost and adding to the total cost to open your supply crate. For example, if you decide to put in a level 4 helmet and vest at 500 apiece, plus the initial 100 to open, that crate will now cost 1,100 coins. So make sure it's worth it before you waste all your cash, because you'll need it to revive your teammates if they get thirsted. That's right, you heard me. This battle royale has a revive system, and super people once again have added their own spicy twist. When you or your teammates get thirsted, you'll have 3 minutes to clear the area and start reviving. Reviving a player for the first time costs 100 coins and takes 20 seconds to complete. Costs for revives increase each time from 100 for the first, 200 for the second, and so on. So as you can see, reviving will get pretty expensive if you die a lot. The cost of the revive is paid by the person reviving, unless the player being revived requests revival. Now I imagine this is a way to stop griefing, because in theory, if it costs the player being revived, trolls could team kill and revive you constantly and charge you hundreds. Players can also revive DC'd players, so the griefing would continue even after a player left. Now with soldier swapping, supply crates and revives explained, one of the last aspects you can spend your coins on are blueprints. While playing, you may come across a few of these blueprint pieces. These can be picked up, and when the game is over, blueprints will be collected and added to your armory. Blueprints go towards specialist weapons. Difference between these and normal weapons are these weapons receive randomly selected bonus traits when crafted, and they can also be added into your supply crates in future games. To unlock these weapons, just like Exodia, players must collect all 5 pieces, or in this case, blueprints. Once all 5 blueprints are acquired, players can then use their coins to craft that weapon. Costs vary depending on their rarity, rare going for 2,000, heroic 10,000, and legendary for a whopping 250,000. As you can see, this gives players a reason to save their coins and actually think about purchases wisely. When it comes to the economy system, that pretty much covers everything I know of right now. As for mechanics, there's one last important idea one that people have implemented that's totally different to any other BR, and that's crafting. Similar to games like Fortnite and Warzone, weapons and equipment use a similar rarity system, from grey commons to gold heroics. The only difference is instead of relying on luck of the draw, players are able to use crafting to upgrade the rarity of their weapons and equipment. Various crafting materials are added to the loot pool, which players can then collect. When players collect the materials needed, craftable items will appear on screen and in the crafting menu tab for players to craft. To find materials, the devs have included an auto search, which automatically searches the vicinity for materials the player needs and pings it for them. In the tab menu, you'll also notice a small button on each craftable item with a blueprint on it. Pressing this opens the entire blueprint to that item and shows the specific materials needed. Clicking on materials searches for them so players can prioritize their upgrades. Recently, I've been using this method myself to prioritize my armor mats first. I do this for 3 reasons. 1, different weapons require different mats, and I find I'm constantly switching weapons at the start, which constantly changes the mats I need. Number 2, personal supplies will have a rare or higher specialist weapon anyway, so I may as well wait for that. And number 3, vest and helm require similar mats, 2 of which, the gold bars and glass bottles, tend to be the harder ones to find, so I knock these ones out as soon as possible. Now with all the main mechanics explained and out of the way, I think it's time I talked about my thoughts and what I think of this game. Initially, I'll be honest, I didn't quite get the mechanics. Sniping felt weak, TTK seemed ridiculously high, and all of the extra mechanics made it a lot to take in at first. But as time went on, I began to understand the mechanics and the intentions behind one of people's decisions. Basically, what this game has managed to do is not only use aspects and concepts from other popular BR titles that we all love, but also successfully incorporate them all in whilst adding their own twist onto it all. The mechanics in this game work brilliantly together, and honestly, I think when it comes to BRs, this game proves that we still have room for improvement. The game visually looks clean and up to date. Terrain gives me an updated PUBG vibe, whereas the structures lean more towards a Ring of Elysium. The map isn't too large or too small, and with the way super people have done their zoning, each game feels like playing on a different map and giving it a sense of variety. Audio could maybe use some work. Most games I find are fine, however there are a couple of games where I struggle to pinpoint vertical audio. With the game being in beta, this isn't something I'm too worried about, and wonder people are updating this game constantly, as you can see from the patch notes in Steam. Moving on, movement feels pretty good. It's not on the same level as Warzone movement obviously, but compared to PUBG it's pretty solid. Movement feels smooth and the pace complements well with the pace of the game. I also love the parkour style they're trying to bring in, with airwalks for longer jump distances. Obviously there are other variables such as abilities that give players slides, rolls, higher jumps, dashes, etc, but overall it feels good and I have no complaints. Gunplay feels great. Weapons are all the modern weapons we all know and love, such as the M4, AK, Kar98 and Vector. The gunplay is very much like PUBG with recoil, control and handling, which I'm sure we can all agree is one of the reasons PUBG is so great. I also love how Super People creates so much variety during fights and is successfully avoiding a constant meta use, whether it's specialist weapons, making all weapons viable to run, or the economy system stopping players from running the same soldier every game. It's smart decisions like this that really make this game stand out from the rest. Speaking of the economy system, I love that they've managed to actually create a solid use for the in-game currency. One of my biggest issues with PUBG was that they never really did anything with the BP and I just kinda ended up wasting it all on random crates. Whereas this game has come up with some creative ways to make them useful in-game, yet made them worth saving so you still care about loss. Overall, I think they've executed this idea brilliantly. Abilities and traits are a lot more complex than I initially thought. But as an old MOBA fan, I love the road they've taken with this one. Originally, I thought it was going to be a simple 2 abilities, 1 passive type situation like Apex Legends, but to find out there were 9 unique traits and an ultimate blew my mind. Working that all in with the MOBA styled leveling system really adds the cherry on top, and the capsules were a nice touch. Now some abilities I will admit I think are a bit OP, such as the flamethrower that shoots fireballs through walls, but once again with the game in beta, things like this are constantly being tweaked and balanced. Crafting, I felt, was also a nice addition to the mechanics pool. Not only does it give players something to work at during downtime, but also removes the luck aspect of battle royales. Instead, players can craft higher tier loot themselves, and the mats are common enough for it to work. I was worried that adding mats would ruin the loot pool and make weapons harder to find, but it actually works pretty well. Buildings always seem to have a good variety of loot, from weapons, attachments, armor, mats, and consumables, whereas PUBG, I've run through entire towns only to find shotguns. If I'm being honest, my only actual gripe with this game is the lack of oceanic servers. I personally live in Australia, and one of the things games like this always lack are servers for us Aussies. Instead, we usually have to play on Asia servers, which not only include 120 average ping, but are also known to be filled with hackers. I can't say I've noticed any hacking, but the lag does make gunfights inconsistent and unpredictable, which in a BR is pretty serious for the experience, considering it could mean the end of your game. I haven't found anything to confirm if oceanic servers will eventually arrive, but it's definitely something that I myself will be praying for. I do really enjoy playing this game and would like a more stable experience network-wise. Overall, apart from servers, there isn't really anything negative or game-breaking I can honestly mention. There's a lot of ideas and concepts being used that work together fantastically in this, and in its current state, even with 100 ping, I'm having a lot of fun. I have a feeling I'm going to play this a lot through the year, and I'm actually really keen to see how this game pans out. If you're keen to come along on this journey with me, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on future uploads, and give the video a thumbs up as every little bit of support helps the channel grow. I'm also over on Twitter if you guys want to follow me there, and I also stream on Twitch if you want to catch the action live. Links for everything down below. Until next time, you guys have a good one, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers, mates.